Hi, it's Alistair at Electric Scotland. This is the video for the weekly newsletter for April the 6th, and wishing you all a very happy Tartan Day. I believe the big parade's on at New York, and it's Tartan Week, I think they have in New York, but certainly in Canada and America there'll be celebrations over the weekend, I would imagine. So do look out for any events on and maybe attend, and remember to wear your tartan tie or tartan socks or something tartan to celebrate. Okay, well, on to the news stories. Basically, first one I got for you is the SNP MSP delivers entire Holyrood speech in Gaelic. Says Kate Forbes, the member for Skye, Lochaber and Badenoch, said she wanted to demonstrate Gaelic was a living language as MSPs use headsets to listen to a simultaneous translation. The next one is new Scottish benefit system could bring down the government. Basically in here I think they're reminding us that the big computer projects the government have tackled, like the health service one, like the project to give grants from the EU to our farmers, and the police computer system. They all went way over budget, and none of them have worked well at all. And basically, if you're going to computerize the new social security system and benefit system, get that wrong, and it's going to be a disaster for the SNP for sure if they don't get it right. I mean, after all, it was a disaster for the poor farmers and crofters, but you know, it's only a small percentage of the population. People don't notice it, but by golly, you muck up the benefit system, ha! Okay, you know, that's a disaster waiting to happen. So this is an article about that. The next story is university isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's been a lot of talk about this actually over several years now. I remember Stephen Harper in Canada, the old Prime Minister of Canada, he was trying to get people to go to college and take out apprenticeships, because he felt there were better paying jobs and far more jobs in that sector than there are for university graduates. So again, this is an interesting story on that theme. Next one is Edinburgh scientists working to create safer eggs. It says scientists at the University of Edinburgh, Roslin Institute, are carrying out work to produce safer eggs. So, well, I thought that might be an interesting wee story. Always like some science stories around. Next one is Scotland's record year for renewables. The Scottish Government has published new statistics on renewable energy generation up to the end of 2017, showing a significant increase in output during the final 3 months of last year. So a success story, even though renewables are more expensive, of course, but nevertheless, it's the way to go. Next one is SNP is rolling us down a hill towards a cliff edge. It says while the First Minister fumes about power grabs, it's her government which poses the real risks, says Brian Monteith. So, interesting story that. Next one I've got is Meghan Markle is a direct descendant of Robert the Bruce. The future bride of Prince Harry is a direct descendant of Scotland's most famous king. It has been claimed. I actually read that. It's quite interesting, considering she's got some black blood in her. So it's kind of interesting that. Dinosaur tracks on Skye globally important is the next story I've got for you. It says few fossil sites have been found around the world from the Middle Jurassic period, and of course this is one of them. The next story I found was Police Scotland at 5, Tragedy, Triumph and Turmoil. Basically this is celebrating the first 5 years of Police Scotland. It says Britain's second biggest police service was launched on the 1st of April 2013. BBC Scotland looks back at its challenges from unspeakable tragedies to misconduct allegations. Then the next one is UK investment is a record high, so why has almost no one reported it? So I thought, well, I'll report it. The secret cherry taking over Canada. Able to survive temperatures as low as -40, Saskatchewan's prairie cherries are tarter than traditional sweet cherries and can be eaten straight from the tree. Good stuff, that. There's my grandfather clock chiming in the background to say it's 12 o'clock. Woohoo! Jacob Rees-Mogg accused of copying Walter the Softy. The Beano comic has issued a cease and desist letter to MP Jacob Rees-Mogg, claiming he has modelled himself on its character, Walter the Softy. I just thought that was a really amusing story, so I thought I'd bring it out to you. Brexit Britain can rejuvenate global network after years of EU dilution. The government means to rejuvenate the Commonwealth as part of its Global Britain strategy once it's free of the European Union. This is an article by David Maddox, and obviously that's tying in with this month's meeting of the heads of Commonwealth. So it'll be interesting to see how things develop there. And then the last story I've got for you is teachers buying cash-strapped pupils food and clothes. Teachers are routinely using their own money to buy food and clothes for their poverty-stricken pupils. But it's a sad story, that. I mean, it's a good story that they're helping, but it's a sad story that it has to happen at all. And I mean, I still say that it seems to me that the greatest problems come from left-leaning governments. I don't understand it. I mean, they're meant to be there for the poorest and the working class and everything, yet they seem to do a terrible job for them. Don't understand it. Anyway, that's I found was an interesting story. Then on to Electric Canadian. I've got another Transactions of the Canadian Society of Civil Engineers up. It's the 1932 volume. All kinds of stuff in this. Air-cooled engines is talking about, engineering education in Canada, central heating system of the city of Winnipeg, chemical industry, coal mining and distribution, dredging, ducts, early surveys of Essex County, evolution of lighthouses, field gun manufacture, glass making, hydroelectric power, industrial engineering, Institute's War Memorial, locomotive design, National Broadcasting Plan for Canada, Niagara Falls, bituaries, oil circuit breakers, our coal supply, publications of other engineering societies, telephone engineering, transportation, vehicle and the road, and welded construction, etc., etc., etc. The poetical works of Alexander MacLachlan, selected and edited with introduction, biographical sketch, notes and a glossary. It's printed in 1900. A very interesting book, that. Hope you'll enjoy that. Next one is Canada's History. It's a bi-monthly publication. This is a recent one. It's August-September 2016. It's actually on the Public Archive, so because normally that would be copyright. So I grabbed a copy as it's in the Public Archive, so you can have a read of that. And you can actually subscribe to the magazine. It's a bi-monthly one. Then finally, the Grand Priory of Canada. I got a copy of their April 2018 newsletter. So that's a kind of interesting read. Gives you a bit of an insight into what's going on around the world for Knights Templars. Then on to Electric Scotland. We have Commonwealth of Australia. I gave you a big write-up about that last week. So this is now putting up volume 2 of the 19 volumes. We got in the Clan Lachlan Association of Canada newsletter for this is spring 2018 edition. I've also got a short booklet. It's Anonymous and Stony by Jean Camlow. It's a copy of a booklet published by Stanley Bruce and the late Jean Camlow back in 2006. A link to this book is at the foot of the Gazetteer page on Stonehaven, because basically Stony is Stonehaven. So lots of nice wee pictures and poems and some commentary in there. Good wee booklet that. Then another clan newsletter, this time from the Clan Munro of Australia. I might add that even though it's not your clan, there's usually some really good stories in most of these clan newsletters. So I do think they're well worth reading, even though it's not your clan. In defence of collective security, the ski pole affair and the vital importance of collective security as the foundation of Britain's national defence. This was a PDF brochure I picked up. Makes you think, actually, this one, so it's worth the read. Then John Buchan, 39 Steps fame. I've added a little more to his page, partly because he was the Baron of Tweedsdale and obviously Governor General of Canada. So I found a couple of old videos of him where he's talking, so I thought I would add those and a little bit more information to his page. Next one is All I've Ever Known. This is Margaret Gallagher's story. I don't know how I came across this, but it's a video that I found on YouTube, and it's basically they've got a small croft, as it were, and it's been in the family for a lot of years, and she decided that she wanted to stay there. So this is her telling her story of her grandparents and parents, and she lives in the old way. She still lives with cooking over a fire or flame, and I don't know, I just thought it was an interesting video. So I thought, well, I'll share it with you guys and see what you think. Then I got a book, Station Life in New Zealand by Lady Barker. Again, it's because of the working on the Commonwealth specifically. I wanted to see if there was anything else in New Zealand that might be of interest. And this book came up and it's really interesting. It's how they start life on their own farm in New Zealand. And because she's writing as a spectator possibly, but obviously a participant, she's writing about the other stations and her own station and how they live and how they work and how they travel around, and it's kind of, I enjoyed it. I actually read the whole thing, so I enjoyed it. Then I've got a wee one called Business, because I thought I'd add a business page to our SIP section. That's the Scottish Innovation Party, because that's where I'm putting stuff where people can think and maybe think for a future for Scotland and where we could go, what we could do and how we might change things. And it's just that I came across a couple of very good reference sites and I wanted to put them somewhere so I could find that information again. So that's partly why I created it, but I'm going to do a bit more on that business in the aspect about how can we get more business of Scotland. So I'm going to explore more on that in the weeks ahead. So that page is a kind of anchor page for future activity on that. Then I've got another book called Brimond and its Shadow. It's a record of the excursions held by the Stonywood Parish Church Literary Guild during 1906 to 1908 to 1910. This is basically where they got members together and literally they went for excursions on a Saturday afternoon somewhere, and each one was designed to show you things in the local area that you might not have known about. And they basically wrote up the story of each of those excursions. And so this is a selection from them, and it's really interesting. Then I've got a Robert Burns Lives section. It's Reminiscences of Editing Burns by G. Ross Roy. Well, as you know, G. Ross Roy died several years ago now, but this is an article which is based on an interview with him. And it's quite fascinating because he was a real character, and especially in the Burnsians and Scottish literature field, even though he was an American. But I don't know, I really enjoyed that. So I hope you'll enjoy having a read of that one. And the final one I've got up is about Clan Frame. And Clan Frame, I will say, is one of the 2 clans that I've got on the site that I could never find, because I knew there was 2 clans I had up that I got literally no information on them at all. But I wanted to put an anchor page up because I was going to try and find something for those 2 specific clans. Trouble is, I can never remember what these clans were. And I got an email in from Julie who basically said, as you got no information on Clan Frame, might I suggest a couple of links. So I went there and I thought, that's one of the 2 that I've been looking for. So I did a wee bit of work on that, and I've been able to add some interesting information to Clan Frame now. So I've done a wee bit of work there. So that fills in that gap. So I believe I've got now 1 other clan which I can't find that has no information. So hopefully if I can find that, I can finish off the clan section essentially. The Clan Frame, incidentally, came from weavers from I think it was Belgium, if I remember rightly, but basically they were weavers, and they're in England and Belgium and France and so forth. Okay, and the story for this particular week is actually How Capitalism Works by Eben Wilson. I was quite interested in this because it's very much it's like, he starts off by saying, when I first read that Jaguar has an order for 20,000 of its new I-Pace cars from Waymo, part of the Google empire, to become self-driving, ride-hailing vehicles, I was puzzled, but then I began to laugh. Here's why. And I rather like the story, so I thought I'll make that the story of this week. So hope you enjoy it. So there we go, and as usual I'll put a link to the actual newsletter where you can find all the links to all these stories and articles in the description. So hope you enjoy the weekend when it comes up, and if you're a golfer like I am, hope you enjoy the Masters. Maybe Tiger Woods will win, I'll have to see, or maybe Rory McIlroy will do well. Okay, nice talking to you. Talk to you next week. Bye.